Are you trying to boost your testosterone levels naturally? If so, this is the perfect video for you. As in this video, I'm going to be talking about the 10 mistakes I made when trying to boost my testosterone levels naturally. I wish someone told me this when I started. That being said, let's get into the video. So the 10 mistakes I made when trying to boost my testosterone levels naturally. These mistakes are fundamental mistakes that I'm going to be going over. These are not very specific tactics because tactics fade away and principles stay forever. So let's get into it. So first of all, the biggest mistake I made is supplements, putting supplements on a pedestal. When you get into this industry, when you get into testosterone optimization, health, you will be bombarded, especially in the surface level, with supplements. Take this supplement for this and that. There is supplements that you can take that work very well, but most of them don't really do anything. They're placebo, and in most cases, they're very damaging long term. Especially most supplements are very damaging to the gut health. So it causes a lot of gut distress, more endotoxin production, then you're producing more serotonin, cortisol, so on and so forth. So in most cases, supplements are very problematic. The biggest switch I made when it comes to supplementation is going from oral supplementation to topical supplementation. So applying specific supplements on my skin so it does not irritate my gut. Because gut health is very important, because 95% of serotonin is produced in the gut. So if you're irritating the gut, you're going to have high serotonin symptoms, which means that's an antagonist to dopamine, and dopamine is super important for your testosterone levels. Most supplements are very poorly regulated. Most supplements have low bioavailability. They're overpriced. And I used to spend $200 to $300 a month on supplements. Now sometimes I don't even take any supplements because I know exactly what to do to accomplish high testosterone levels naturally, which is proper nutrition, training, lifestyle protocols, and that's it. Supplements are only an icing on the cake. If I want to go out, I want to be more talkative, whatever, I want to have a better session in the gym, I know exactly tactically what supplements to take, so I react to my current scenarios. Maybe I've went out to eat, I know what supplements to take to attack that specifically because I know they're going to be cooking with polyunsaturated fats. So supplements should be used tactically. Let's say you have flu symptoms, just like medicine. When you're sick or you're about to get sick, you know you should, take X to prevent it from going forward. Same with supplementation. I'm not a big believer in taking supplements on a daily basis to feel good. Supplements should be just to enhance your current state. But a lot of guys are in a bad state and they're depending on supplements to get them further, which they can do that easily by removing blockers from their life. A lot of the supplements, like I mentioned, are not bioavailable, so you're wasting all this money on nothing. A lot of guys don't get their micronutrient levels tested, so they're just randomly taking supplements based on very powerful marketing in the industry. So they're just taking supplements in the hopes that it works because they've seen a study or two, which I'm going to be going over that as well. For example, you probably all heard about, zinc boosts your testosterone levels. Yes, if you're deficient, but if you're not deficient and you start taking a bunch of zinc, 10 milligrams of zinc depletes 1 milligram of copper, and that's going to create a different micronutrient deficiency which wasn't there in the first place. So it can be very dangerous. I've heard a lot of stories, people having neural damage from just taking supplements and just reading a random book. Nowadays, anyone can publish a book. It's so easy. So I would be hyper cautious of any information that you get online because there's no governing body. Anyone can post a YouTube video. Anyone can make a website. It's so easy nowadays. So be careful with the supplements that you take because a lot of them are just a money grab based on shiny objects and popular things in the industry. Okay, number 2, overtraining. Training is important for proper hormonal optimization. training full body 3 times a week for 4 weeks has shown to boost testosterone levels by 40%. But the problem begins when you overtrain, when you start overreaching, when you start, I like the saying, I rather undertrain by 10% than overtrain by 1%. When you overtrain, that means you're under-recovered. When you're under-recovered, that means your stress hormones are super high, especially things like cortisol. When cortisol is high, testosterone is low. That's how the ratios work. And usually what comes with overtraining and under-recovering is probably you're under-eating, and especially carbohydrates. And if you're under-eating carbohydrates, what happens? That leads to you waking up at night because you don't have enough glycogen storage. And when you do that for a prolonged period of time, your liver gets damaged. Then you can't sustain blood sugar throughout the day. That's why you start getting sugar crashes, anxiety, stress, things like that. And that all starts with just overtraining. And with overtraining, it creeps in over time, depending on your current state. When you're 16, 17, you can overtrain, nothing will happen. But it builds up over time. And for me, it hit me like a brick because I used to train 6 times a week. Because I fell for all these influencers. Because I used to think, and that was wrong of me, I used to think everyone was genuine. Because I'm genuine. When I say something, I mean it because I'm coming from a righteous place, right? I say the truth, I don't lie. Because I know God is watching, why would I lie? But I realize there's people out there who don't have righteousness in their life. They don't have God in their life. So they do things based on just manipulating an individual. They do things based on saying a certain thing just to take from you. And that never dawned on me before. But then I started realizing, and this is where I had to do my own research. Started thinking for myself and things like that. So be careful of that. So overtraining, 3 times a week, 2 times a week is perfectly fine. So do not overtrain. 3 times a week is what I do personally. So number 3, shiny objects. So this kind of ties in with supplements and overtraining. But shiny objects can be a good example of like Liver King. He preaches all like eating raw organs, so on and so forth. Are they nutritionally dense? Yes. But most people can't handle raw food. So it's going to be actually problematic to them. Shiny objects could be supplements falling for the new trends in the industry. And I always go back to the saying of what were people doing 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years ago to maintain higher testosterone levels? And it was just the basics. Eating right, training right. Training would be things like people would have a 3 times a week full body split with X amount of volume and doing daily undulating periodization to progressive overload and build their rare delt. They wouldn't be doing things like that, you know. They would be providing for their family. They would be getting stronger, like chopping down a tree, which is resistant training. Resistant training is anything that you do very intense. It takes effort. There has been studies showcasing how chopping wood boosts testosterone because it's a resistant type of training. Same with sprints. So that's what they would do back in the days. Men would do those things. And they wouldn't have all these very specific training routines, and they would have very impressive physiques. That's where it comes from the video I made last week, how hormonal optimization is such a more important priority than just training, right? With many of my clients, they talk about, well, I'm focusing on my business, building my business, and I just don't train as much. But because I'm following your routine, I'm just maintaining all my strength, and I'm actually getting stronger as well. Because strength and things like that, that's hormonal optimization. Do you ever see these older men that like that dad strength? They're just strong. They don't go to the gym because that's hormonal. That's muscle memory. That's where it comes from. So that's one thing you need to realize. Hormonal optimization is key. Next. Oh, anything else with shiny objects? Yeah, like always, like cold showers. I've made a video about cold showers. People always talking about how cold showers are amazing for you, but they don't understand the studies, which I'll get into that as well. Understanding how to read studies properly. Like the study that showcases that cold showers are good for you, showcases that LH increases. LH being luteinizing hormone, so you have your hypothalamus, then it signals with G and N or H to the anterior pituitary, which signals FSH and LH to stimulate the testicles, Leydig cells specifically, to produce testosterone. So they're like, oh, so LH is increasing, which should indicate higher testosterone levels, but that's not the case. The reason why LH is increasing is because that activity is lowering your testosterone, so it's like a ladder, right? It has to go up to get it back up. Ultimately, the goal should be having low LH and high testosterone. That means your Leydig cells are very sensitive, which is a good thing. Anyway, let's get back into number 4. So tracking. What gets measured gets accomplished. What gets measured gets managed. You need to be tracking, because random action leads to random results. When you track, you know exactly, if I do X, I'm going to get Y. But you only know that when you do something for a prolonged period of time. There's things in my coaching that I teach which you will not find anywhere else, because I've come to those conclusions myself. I didn't read a study. No one told me it. I came from tracking. You can say I did my own studies on myself, and I came to very specific conclusions. And that comes from tracking. And everybody is different. The best thing you can track is things like your temperature, your heart rate, your body measurements, your body composition, your weight, your strength in the gym. You can go deep as you want in whatever aspect you're trying to be specific about. Just like with training, if you're trying to increase your bench press and you're more an intermediate or advanced trainee, you want to be very specific with your training. Let's say you're plateau on the bench press, and you're weak on the lockout, so you would do more specific training from the bench press on the lockout, doing band training which focuses on the lockout, doing pin pressing, doing more tricep exercises like dick's press, skull crushers, one arm overhead press, one arm French press, to specifically focus on that thing for that period of time, because that's your weak point. You're as strong as your weakest link. So same with tracking. By tracking, you can see specifically what's going on. I've worked with a lot of successful individuals, like entrepreneurs, and their problem is they're very fast, go, and they fall for shiny objects and supplements because they want it now. And because they're very snappy, the time is very efficient. They want to be efficient with their time. And the mistake that they make is when you actually track everything, I'm like, look, your sleep is all over the place. You're not sleeping. Your circadian rhythm's all over the place. You're not eating properly. Look at your macros. Bowel movements is all over the place. Look at the notes. You're going to sleep, you're waking up, everything's all over the place. But they're asking me, oh, do you think this supplement is good? Oh, do you think I should start doing cold showers? And they're reacting because they have Instagram reels and they see some tactic. But yet if you track everything, but if I didn't track what they're doing and I just went based on what they told me, I would lose my head. And this is where it came from for the tracking thing. I used to not track a lot because I used to think people were like me and they just take action upon everything. But this is my obsession, so I take action upon it. And I would be like, why are people not getting results? There's people that get results. They've went through the same program, what's going on, and they're telling me they're doing the thing. then I'll be like, okay, let's actually track everything. So I'll give them an accountability sheet. They have to fill it in. And you see it straight away. You know exactly. And before I used to think, maybe I am wrong. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I need to implement all these shiny objects to get them results. But in reality, it was just tracking. Because when you track something, you can see the bottleneck of what's going on. And when you know what to look at, you'll know straight away. And there's no confusion. So when I see guys in the community, in the brotherhood community, they're like, oh, I'm doing everything that you're telling me in your YouTube videos, but I'm not getting results. Yeah, I don't believe that. Oh, I've been doing this for years and months. I'm not getting results. And I'm like, yeah, you're doing something wrong. Oh, but I'm different. I always hear this, but I'm different. You're special. You're a special snowflake. Everything is very basic. You'd be surprised. I've heard all the different stories, but I've heard it all. So tracking is a fundamentally important thing that you should do. Track everything. Oh, but Alex, I want to live a life. I don't have time to track. If you want your life to be easy, do what is hard. If you want your life to be hard, do what is easy. It's a decision that you need to make. And when it comes to tracking, it's not something that you need to do long term, which ultimately, if you want to have amazing results, that's what it takes, tracking all the time. I don't track personally all the time because I've done it for a prolonged period of time that I already know a lot of things. So I know what to do. But that comes with time. So when you're a beginner, I do recommend tracking. The number 5, desired state. A lot of individuals don't know what true health is. They might have a very, very faded idea of what it is, but they don't really know what their desired state is. How are you going to feel? What are the measurable things that I'm going to be experiencing when I'm at that state? Just like a millionaire, he knows he's going to be making $1 million. And he can do maths around it. Okay, 1 million, I'm selling a product for X. I need to do this amount of sales calls. My closing rate is this. My cost per acquisition is this. And they can work backwards and they know exactly what they need to do to accomplish their desired state. A lot of people don't know what their desired state is, so they're just doing random things. And fundamentally, you want to know your current state. That's why, let's say, if you want to work with me in my Reclaim Mastermind, right? And you book a call, this is the number one thing that I do before we even get to pricing, whatever it is. I ask you, what's your current state? What's your desired state? I get very clear on your desired state. And then I make a decision. Am I the vehicle to take you from your current state to your desired state? If the answer is yes, I'll be like, I think the Reclaim Mastermind is perfect for you. Would you like me to talk more about it? Yeah, let's do it. And that's what it is. But fundamentally, you need to know where your desired state is and be very clear with it. Because then you know the exact action steps. When it comes to with guys within the brotherhood, right? So that everyone has access. When you join the brotherhood, it's a free community. You level to level 3. Then here's a course about androgen density. And I talk about how do you build big shoulders, big upper chest, traps, that V-taper, right? So I talk about strength standards. I tell you exactly what you need to do to have a big upper chest. So let's say you weigh 80 kilos. If you can, this is based on, if I change this, it's going to change. Because it's based on specifically for you, right? If you weigh 90 kilos and you incline bench press 126 kilos for 5 reps, your incline bench press, your upper chest is going to be androgen dense. 108, great. 90, good. And it's a very specific thing that you need to accomplish. You know what your desired state, your current state is, which is you can only bench 40 kilos. And you're like, why is my upper chest small? I'm doing chest flies and I'm doing one arm crossovers. That's not going to build the chest. Big incline bench press is what's going to build your upper chest, and getting very strong at it, which is hard. So you know your current state, you know your desired state, and the vehicle to take you from your current state to your desired state are the principles, which is here. I talk about the principles, progressive overload, different methods, and other principles, right? And I do that. This is just for training. I do that for nutrition, lifestyle, supplementation, everything, right? So you need to know what your desired state, because then you can implement the plan. When the power lifter is getting ready for a meet, he knows exactly the day he's going to be competing at. And what the coach does, he works backwards from the date of the competition. He doesn't work from your current date. Okay, today is May 1st and the competition is June 1st. Okay, let me start from May 1st. This is what I'm going. No, he works from the day of the competition, and he works backwards. Okay, this is the desired state. We have the peak week. Then we need to do this week, DUP, daily undulating periodization, then concurrent periodization, then linear progression, whatever it is, right? And the calories have to be this way. Same with fat loss. Let's say you have a wedding, right? In 6 months' time. You work backwards. And you have a desired state. So you need to know your desired state. The number 6. Randomness. Random action. Write this down. Random action equals random results. If you do random things that you do not track, but you just do because you're just reacting to your TikTok feed, that's what you're going to get, random results. Specific results, which comes from having a desired state, having a specific thing that you want to accomplish, a specific goal, comes from knowing exactly what you want to accomplish and having a very specific action plan, training plan, nutrition plan, supplement plan in place to take you from that state to your current state. If you do random things and you change every 2 days, you're going to get random results, right? I always ask guys on the calls, what have you been doing until now? This and that. Okay, what exact macronutrients are your, I don't know. How many calories are you, I don't know. How much, I don't know. And then they're curious why they're not getting results, because they're doing random things. Number 7. And all those things, I made those mistakes. Just doing random things because just reacting to, following some influencers and they give you a new tactic every week because it's random. Didn't have a specific desired state. Now I know exactly what I want to accomplish. I track. I didn't track. So on and so forth. The number 7. Program hopping. I used to do this a lot. I would lack delayed gratification. I would follow a training plan for a week and I'd be like, I'm not getting bigger. Let me change it. And I would do this very often. Same with nutrition. I'm not getting results. Let me change it. Let me change it. So changing the program because you did something for a week is not good. I mentioned this many times before. When Jeff Bezos accomplished his peak revenue month, the interviewer went up to him and said, what did you do this month that made you accomplish this goal? And he said, there's nothing that I did this month or last month. It's what I did last year that made me accomplish this current state. A lot of the factors why you're experiencing your current state, it's not something you did last week or yesterday. It's something that you've done last month. It's something that you did last year. The decisions you've made that led you to your current state. You reap what you sow. God cannot be mocked. So yeah, having that understanding. Number 8, understanding studies. How I see guys, and especially the guys that are skinny, they have no results. It's the guys that Jesus talks about. Beware of false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they're ravening wolves. You shall know them by their fruit. Would a lemon tree gives you figs? No. If I was on steroids and skinny and I couldn't do a push-up, and I'm talking about testosterone optimization, you wouldn't trust me because there's a lack of fruits, right? The guys that like to talk about studies usually lack fruits, and this is their only go-to. And I personally, and I have fruits, I can tell you that a lot of studies are false because I've done a lot of these things and I know. A lot of studies are backed up by a lot of money. Do you think a multi-billion corn industry is going to allow a study to come out saying that choking the chicken is good for you, is bad for you? I don't think so. Same with a lot of the big industries when it comes to food or supplementation. Do you think they're going to allow a study to come out? No. I've done a lot of studies, guys who really know how to read studies. These people who do those studies, they're very, very smart with the choice of words that they use within the studies. So for the common reader that lacks that discernment and understanding, they will come to a different conclusion to what the actual study came to. Meaning, the study will conclude X, but they'll use specific wording because they know the legal loopholes to make it seem like that's not the conclusion, but it's a certain thing. And now this is what people base their reality on because of studies. So be careful with studies. A lot of studies like fish oils, polyunsaturated fats, things like that. A lot of these things just take common sense as well. There's difference between wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Knowledge is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it into your fruit salad. Understanding is looking from God's perspective. How you eat a fruit and when you poop it out, the seeds are left for it to grow back up. A study is not going to give you that type of understanding, right? That's why I'm a big believer of fruit. Things that you logically think God would make it so He would provide for us and it will be forever. It's like a self-sufficient thing, like eating a lot of fruits, dairy, meats occasionally, like warm water fish, like fish that are in warm water, like fish that are found in the Amazon River have butter-like fat content within them, but things like salmon wouldn't. So coming from that perspective. Next, number 9, is self-righteousness. I've mentioned this a lot. How when I got into this, it was a lot about self-development. How can I do this so I can one up everybody? You know, it's rooted in insecurity. It's rooted in you have some unresolved trauma or sin, whatever it is. And that's what you see the industry is all about self. It's no longer about family. It's no longer about I'm trying to better myself, have better health, be stronger in the gym because I want to provide for my family and make my family feel safe, things like that. Looking from it from a righteous perspective, right? So that was a big mistake because this is all vanity. It fades away. And then you get hit with a brick, if that makes sense, because it hits you. So doing things righteously, and that should be the fundamental which you build your health upon, your wealth, your relationships, and you will prosper. So the mistake I made was doing it for self-gain. Then number 10, pendulum swing, meaning every reaction has an equal opposite reaction. A lot of guys, when they get into trying to get a desired result, they push themselves too much because they want the results now, and they'll swing to the other side of inaction. So they're going through phases of taking a lot of action, doing completely nothing, rather than doing something that's realistic and you see yourself doing for a prolonged period of time, for long term. And this is the mindset you should be following, is when you have a plan in place, you ask yourself, do I see myself doing this for a long period of time? Yes or no? If no, there's no point doing it, because you're just going to swing to the other side. So that was the mistake I made, and that was rooted in then the thing with the hopping, right? I would just do all these, like train 6 times a week because I want the results now, and overtraining, and then I'll be so tired and exhausted that I'll just swing to the other side because it was rooted in self-righteousness, because I wanted to get jacked to hook up with chicks. And that theory was based on poor studies, and that led to random results because I didn't have a specific desired state, because it was not set on righteousness, because I was following shiny objects and I was not tracking. And because I wasn't tracking, I didn't realize that all these overtraining and all those things did not lead me to actually getting progress. Because when you look at paper and you're doing your program hopping, you can see on paper, am I getting stronger? Yes or no? If you're not making progress. But if you're doing based on random things, or how do I look today? Do I have a nice pump? Did I grow some muscle? If you're going based on that, you're not going to get results, because just the simple external factor of it being warmer and your veins are showing can be the simple factor that determines whether are you going to program hop today or not. So I'm rambling a bit. So yeah, that's basically, these are the 10 mistakes I made when trying to boost my testosterone levels naturally. Hopefully this will save you nearly a decade of your life, because that's how long it took me to conclude those things. And that being said, it was good chatting, and I'll see you later. God bless.